What's cracking? Brian Tong here, and welcome to the Apple Byte. It's all the good and bad inside the world of Apple, and there's plenty to talk about in the aftermath of WWDC. Now, you probably know the big news, so we'll go over it briefly and then dig in because with all things, the devil's in the details. Now, we start things off with the rock star of the event, and that was the all-new MacBook Pro with a Retina display. Think of it as a hybrid, like a quad-core MacBook Air with its great screen. Now, I got to play with it, and it's already earned CNET's Editor's Choice Award, so check this out from our laptop guru, Dan Ackerman.
I'm Dan Ackerman, and we are here taking a very first look at Apple's brand new MacBook Pro with Retina display. This is a variation on the Pro, available only for now in the 15-inch size, and of course it's that Retina display that makes it special. It's got a 2880 by 1800 resolution that is unheard of in laptops, and kind of like on the latest iPhone and on the latest iPad, it makes text and images look very crisp on the screen. Now, besides the big screen, the other big deal about this new system is that it is much thinner and lighter than your typical MacBook Pro. It's got a lot of the DNA of a MacBook Air in it, and I really thought it was almost 50-50 or 60-40, but now that I've got to see it up close and handle it, it definitely leans much more towards the Pro side. It's got these side speakers right here, like you have on a MacBook Pro. It's squared off and slab-like instead of tapered like a MacBook Air. It's actually just about as thick overall as the Air is on the thickest part at the back of the Air, maybe just a hair thicker. It is, however, a little bit heavier than you would expect looking at it and looking at how thin it is. It's about 4.5 pounds. Now, a lot of things on here are going to seem familiar. They got the same Apple keyboard that everybody likes, backlit, of course, and the big glass touchpad. I think the thing I'm most excited about, besides the dual USB 3.0 ports and the dual Thunderbolt ports, is something I never thought I'd see on an Apple laptop. That's HDMI. I've been asking for this for years. It's finally here. It makes it so much easier to just take this and plug this into a big TV or projector or a monitor. And now, in order to get all this, you're going to have to maybe save up a few pennies, maybe trade in your old MacBook, because it starts at $21.99. That's pretty darn expensive for just a 15-inch laptop with only a 256 gig solid-state drive. You can trade up to a bigger one. Of course, that's going to cost even more. I'm Dan Ackerman, and that is the brand new Apple MacBook Pro with Retina display.
All right, thanks, Dan. Now, you guys, the Retina display is nice, but it's more subtle than you think, and it's not a cheap machine starting at $21.99. But more than anything, the 15-inch is a lot heavier than it looks, and trust me, I work out. We also saw a revamp across the line with new MacBook Pros 13-inch and 15-inch and MacBook Airs featuring Ivy Bridge processors, Thunderbolt, USB 3, a slimmer MagSafe connector, and 720p FaceTime cameras, which I'm excited about for personal use. Now, Mountain Lion won't come preloaded on the machines, but Apple says it's arriving in July for $19.99, and if you buy a machine now, you'll get a free upgrade. Plus, we didn't see any other Mac hardware, and we told you not to expect it, but a lot of you were frustrated about no iMacs. Now, don't get too worked up about it. We still expect a refresh this year, and they've released new iMacs a few weeks after a keynote in the past. On the other hand, the Mac Pro probably received the most pathetic update in Apple history. They didn't mention it in the keynote, but they released it on Apple's online store with a new tag. The only thing new about it was a speed bump, no new Intel processors, no Thunderbolt, USB 3, SATA 3, nope. After almost 2 years, it got a speed bump. Now, a couple days later, Apple then removed that tag after the internet ripped it apart, and I get it. Desktops are not where you're making a lot of your money. But come on, son! That's a bad Apple. Now, there's light at the end of this very long tunnel after Apple reps told us directly about the Mac Pros, and Tim Cook publicly responded in an email with, "Our Pro customers are really important to us. Don't worry, as we're working on something really great for later next year." Apple has never revealed product info like this, and they almost had to, but to hold me over until then, I'm kind of wishing Apple really did make that refrigerator toaster froster after all. iOS 6 also took center stage, and the Big A showed off new features and improvements that will be available in the fall around the time we see the next-gen iPhone, which may or may not look like this. Now, the biggest oohs and ahs came when Apple showed off their flyover feature in the Maps app. Now, our own CNET expert audio engineer confirmed there wasn't a single female voice recognized during that segment. Now, Apple's new maps will also include voice turn-by-turn directions, a feature Android has had since day one. Siri's getting the ability to check sports scores and movies, launching apps, or posting to social media, but Apple didn't talk about how they would actually improve Siri's recognition or the long waits for information to be interpreted. Now, Facebook is finally going to be integrated into iOS, and FaceTime calls will now be able to be made over a cellular connection in iOS 6. There's a whole bunch of other features, but just because Apple says they're coming in iOS 6 doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get to use them all. Check out this breakdown we have for you, and even though iOS 6 works on the iPhone 4 and the 3GS, you'll need a 4S or higher to get turn-by-turn directions and flyover. You also won't get FaceTime over cellular connections with a 4 or even an iPad 2, and you still won't get Siri on that same iPad 2. Siri will only work on a 4S or higher and on a 3rd generation iPad. And if you're on a 3GS, don't look too carefully because you will cry from that chart. Now, people are pissed off about this, and you should be. I'm annoyed by it, and it's more than worthy of a nasty bad apple. But this is really par for the course for Apple. They did it with multimedia text messaging, they did it with Siri, and we've known this for years. This is how Apple rolls. I'm not saying it's right, but the reality is that there's plenty of other great phones out there like the HTC One X or Samsung's Galaxy S3 that's coming to the US soon. You guys, you don't have to be 100% Apple. Okay, let's be honest, a lot of you watching are. Now, there were a couple products Apple announced that you didn't hear about. There's a new Airport Express that's now shaped like an Apple TV with an Ethernet WAN and LAN port for $99. And Apple released their own smart case for the iPad 2 and iPad 3 that covers the backside and still has its foldable cover that protects the front. Would you believe it? A new Apple product that works on older models. All right, guys, now I know the Apple biters didn't completely get what they wanted to see at WWDC, like an iPhone 5, even if we told you it wasn't coming. So to make you feel better, we're giving you guys something. It's Mophie's $99 Juice Pack Plus. That's a rechargeable external battery case for the iPhone 4 and 4S, and more than doubles the life of your phone. All you have to do is tweet me at Brian_Tong, make me laugh, or cry if you're really mean, or just say hi. Send me your first and last name so I can stalk you on Facebook, and we'll announce our winners next week. Plus, Mophie is hooking up the Apple Byte Nation with a 20% off coupon code for anything from their online store. That's good through July 1st. All right, that's going to do it for this week's show. I'm Brian Tong. Email us at theapplebyte@cnet.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time for another Bite of the Apple.